Welcome to the party. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Adventures with the Trendsetter. Here is your master of ceremonies for the evening, Brian Berger.
And that music can only mean one thing. That means you're listening to Adventures with the Trendsetter. I'm your master of ceremonies, Brian Berger, thanking each and every one of you so much for listening to this episode. Excited to have guest Athena Palomino on the show. If you guys want to find out who she is, if you don't already know, follow her on all of her various social media platforms out there. You guys can follow her on Twitter at Athena Palomino _, Instagram at Shani Bonanni. Also check out our YouTube channel as well. Like, subscribe, guys. Show your support. She also has a OnlyFans site, Manyvids.com. Just go / Athena Palomino and you will find her and her exclusive content for you guys. So definitely show your support. And she's also in the world of fantasy football, so going from one fantasy to the other, competing with her fans on a week-to-week basis, drafting and picking teams. So that's definitely exciting. And I was so enthusiastic to speak to Athena because I met her not too long ago over at Sapphires, where they were doing feature dancing, and she was the featured performer that day. If you guys want to visit that establishment, I would highly recommend it, either 39th Street or 60th Street. Great establishment. They've got great entertainers there, and if you just want to chill and relax and have a good time, they're definitely a place to go in New York City, too. And if you mention the name High Spot Podcast, you will get free entry and a complimentary drink, so you can't beat it. If you want to enjoy a weekend, enjoy a weekday, you're just running ragged, especially in the city, go out there and mention our name and let them know that you are part of the crew. So, with that being said, like I mentioned before when I opened up the show, I was very excited to speak to Athena because when I met her, it's hard to describe until you're actually physically there. And I'm never good with words, so bear with me, guys. But when you meet Athena, she is just such a warm-hearted, inviting person where, she just gives off that vibe, basically. If you've known her forever, as weird as that sounds, I'm not saying this in a creepy fashion by any means. It's just the way I feel when I met Athena. Talking to her and asking her if she would be willing enough to spare a few minutes of her time to come on the show, and she more than willingly agreed. And I was so pleasantly surprised that she agreed to it. And when we did the interview, it was so much fun. Of course, she was in between getting ready to go to work and getting ready to do a whole bunch of things that she's doing now that she currently lives in Baltimore, Maryland. So it was nice to have somebody on the East Coast so I didn't have to worry about doing the math of working with somebody on the West Coast and working at times and things like that nature. Sometimes it does get a little confusing, a little complicated too. So by speaking to Athena, we had a wonderful time. We chatted about many things. The majority, we talked about the industry. We talked about, how she started out, the kind of the inner workings of the industry that you don't really hear a lot about. And more importantly, too, of the importance of, clearly the word I always use all the time when I'm speaking to all my guests are hustling. Most people get the impression that if you work for major companies or production companies, you're shooting every single day, which you possibly could. Depends on your popularity, depends on, if they want to use you. But also the real hustle is to be able to go and shoot your own exclusive content, which Athena does on her OnlyFans and Manyvids site as well. And it's about finding inner workings of making the most income because I've treated, the adult film industry similar to wrestling, similar to sports, where there's a time gap, there's a window, and you always want to make sure you leave on your own accord, you leave them wanting more, and you basically can dictate things rather than have things dictated to you, especially early on when you first start out. Because when you first start out in anything, you got to pay your dues, right? So Athena's definitely done that. She hasn't been in the business for almost a year, and she, in my opinion, has taken the adult film world by storm in terms of the impact and the notoriety she's gotten to this point. And, we talked about that. We talked about, what things she's planning on doing in Baltimore, that she currently lives there. And also we talked about the one thing that's near and dear to my heart, and it's near and dear to Athena's as well, is food. We really talked about 40 minutes about food, and you guys will hear it. And I think it was a great time, and I can't wait to have that Southern dish. And I look forward to preparing and teaching Athena how to cook a culinary Peruvian dish. It's probably the only one I know how to cook well, so I'll definitely pass on those skills, those culinary skills, to her. But in all seriousness, as fun as the interview was, and I enjoyed it, and I was elated just to speak to her because she's such a good-hearted person, and I could have talked to her forever. The reality of the situation is, guys, and if you follow her on social media, you know what I'm talking about. She's going through some struggles right now where financially things aren't good, and she needs now help. And talking to Athena, you can tell she's a very proud person. She works really hard. She is definitely a doer and a go-getter. But in reality, we all need help. As much as we want to be independent, it might be difficult for our ego to admit it, but sometimes we all need help. And Athena needs your help, guys. If you support Adventures with the Trendsetter, if you support the High Spot podcast that we do, if you're a member of the crew, then you guys will back it up, because I've said it time and time again when I've met performers at Exotica or AVN that we're going to support them, or we're always going to have their back. Athena needs your help, guys. Whether you join her OnlyFans, purchase her Manyvids video, vote for her for maximum cover and send her some votes, or go to her PayPal. She needs help and assistance, and every little bit helps right now. And I just hope that you guys support it. I've contributed the best I can. I will continue to contribute as much as I can to Athena, not because she just did the interview with me and was so gracious to give me your time, but more importantly, she's just a good human being and a good person. And, it's hard not to feel for that, because, you ask yourself, like, what would I do if the roles were reversed? Would somebody else do that for me? And I just feel, if you're fans of Athena, if you're fans of me, you will go right out there and give that support and give that enthusiasm as much as Athena, because she goes out there and she, does content for you guys to entertain you guys, to keep you guys happy, to fulfill your fantasies and your allures, or whatever you want to call it. And so the least you can do is show your support and be supportive and thankful of her, not just saying to thank you, but trying every little bit you can to help contribute. So that's my thing to you guys. Try to help as much as can. I'll go through what you can do after the episode's over. But like I said before, go on her Twitter account. She has information there of how you can help a sister, what you can do. So definitely check it out. Go to her Twitter account at Athena Palomino _. So, we'll dive a little bit more into that after the episode's over, but I'm not going to keep it any longer. Guys, support Athena, because she was so gracious enough to do this interview with me here on Adventures with the Trendsetter. So here is my chat and my conversation with the wonderful, beautiful, talented Athena Palomino on Adventures with the Trendsetter. All right, back with another episode of Adventures with the Trendsetter. Excited about today's guest. Really fortunate enough to have met her not too long ago in New York City, guys, at Sapphires. Had a pleasure talking to her, meeting her, chatting to her for a few minutes, and now she's chosen to grace us with her time, because she's a very busy woman. She's none other than Athena Palomino. Athena, thank you so much for coming on Adventures with the Trendsetter.
Thank you.
So how's your day been so far? You keep busy all the time, but right now, how's your day been?
Like I said, it's been just really slow. Actually just about to go feature at the Hustler Club, but I've just been kind of lazy today. I have been trying to get some shelves up in my new closet, but I'm not quite tall enough to reach where they need to go.
Really? You're 5'8". How tall must they be?
Well, I need like 3 levels of them to like fit all of my clothes, and so I need like the tallest one to be like 9 feet, so I can like fit all 3 racks, Yeah,
well, you need a small little step ladder there, because when I first met you over at Sapphires in New York City, you are a very tall person compared to most people that I run into.
Yeah.
Which is not a downfall. It's a great thing. Do you find kind of an issue sometimes when you're dealing with people and they're like, wow, you're surprisingly taller than I expected to be?
I usually hate it, just because, especially when I'm shooting with other girls, I'm not really like fat, but I mean, of course, like being that I am taller, I'm not going to be the same size as them. Mm-hmm. So it makes things a little complicated, and it always did make things complicated when I was dating too, because guys don't want to date a girl that's bigger than them.
Yeah, that's always been the thing. Did you care about that, besides the fact that guys wouldn't care about that, or were you more like you always kind of wanted to be a shorty in a sense?
No, I mean, I wanted to just be the regular size, like a normal size girl, like 5'5", 5'6", and like, size small.
Mm-hmm. How tall are you with heels on?
That would be great. What?
How tall are you with heels on?
I'm 6 foot.
Okay, that's not too bad. Well, I'm 5'11", so when we took a photo, it wasn't that drastically bad. So I had no complaints, obviously, taking a photo with you. But Athena, something I wanted to ask you is that I just recently looked at your your timeline. If you guys want to follow Athena on Twitter, you guys can catch her at Athena Palomino _. If you guys want to check out her Instagram, it's at Shani Bonani, like that name on Instagram. You guys can check out her OnlyFans, onlyfans.com/Athena Palomino. And you just, is it recently, or was it just maybe a week or a couple weeks ago that you went to the Bahamas?
Yeah, it was actually just last week. I went to the Bahamas with my best friend Lana Rose and her friend Stella Cox, and so now we're really good time. So it was a great time. It was Lana Rose's birthday, and we just spent all of our time at the water park.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sounds like fun. Where exactly in the Bahamas?
It was at the Atlantic. Oh, not Atlantic. What's it called? Atlantis.
Oh, Atlantis in the. Oh, nice. Yeah, it looks like you guys got a great tan there. Got some beach time, and also Lana put something on her Twitter too. You get your hair braided. It looked pretty good.
Oh my goodness, it was so painful. It was terribly painful because it was really, really windy, and we didn't really think about that until after we paid the lady. And so her trying to braid my hair while it was really windy, she kept having to grab it really, really hard. So I'm sure a fourth of my hair came out with it. But it was really cool for a few days there, and then when I took it out, my hair looked really crimped. So it was pretty cool for a little bit.
Yeah, it's the price you pay sometimes, but a little pain for the fact that it's looking good. I mean, God bless women that, for you guys wearing these ridiculous high heels. And I ask from time to time, especially when I do conventions like in Edison, or I went to AVN back in January, and you guys are standing for hours. I'm like, are your feet killing you? Yeah. I'm like, why aren't you wearing comfortable shoes though? And they're like, oh, because it looks good.
Oh yeah.
So they sacrifice fashion
I
for comfort.
Shoes last year.
You did?
Yeah, I was not going to wear heels all day. No way.
Yeah, you're one of the smart ones wearing sneakers and stuff like that. Yeah, hey, regardless, they're going to like your shoes, but hey, they might enjoy the rest of you. Who cares what you're wearing in terms of your feetwear? But something I was so intrigued in terms of, I try to do a little research sometimes, but again, I try not to over-prepare it because I always want to make it feel like a conversation, like I'm getting to know you. But there's not really much on you because you're
not
still
like
fairly...
you're a stalker.
Yeah, exactly. Not that I'm a creepy stalker at all, and I follow your photos like most people do. But you kind of want to get a background, because my thing is I never want to ask questions to people, especially when I have a chance, for example, to meet them in person. I never want to ask them the same thing they get asked all the time. I'm sure you get asked all the time, especially when you're at AVN, like, oh, what's your favorite sexual position? What turns you on? What do you look for in a guy? And things of that nature, which I'm sure you guys get asked all the time, and I've spoken to countless. I don't want to be one of those people that, how long have you been in the business? How'd you get into it? Stuff like that. I mean, I think that's kind of been established. So what I want to kind of move on to is other stuff that hasn't been really addressed or talked about, and basically just kind of talk about the business. So you're still fairly new in it. Would you say it's about more like a year at the most, or still less than a year?
It's still been less than a year. I started back in November. I had been doing fetish for actually 2 years before doing mainstream porn.
Mm-hmm.
Which a lot of people don't know about. I used to do it with Seductive Studios for 2 years, and it was actually fantastic. And if I would have continued to get paid enough, I would have probably continued it till my 30s. But it certainly didn't pay as well as mainstream porn. But I started mainstream porn back in November. I did one in November, and then literally I didn't do anything until the end of December. And then I worked until May, actually, with mainstream productions, and I stopped working for mainstream productions back in May. So now I've only been doing OnlyFans and Snapchat since then.
Okay, so yeah, we're coming close to approaching a year where you started mainstream, because you said you did back in November. Something I found pretty interesting in terms of when I've ever interviewed talent, whether it be male or female talent. The main question that I always had, because fan, obviously, of course, that's why I interview the talent, but something I always wanted to know was the business aspect of it, because most people kind of get lost in the allure and fantasy but don't really understand the business. Now, I understand you can shoot for various companies, production companies out there, which I can only name a few, but at the same time, they're all out there. But what I've found out is I guess the main money, or the main hustle theoretically, because you're not working for a major production company, you're only shooting a certain amount of time that week or that month or that year. is really into the, camming or doing OnlyFans or premium Snapchats, right?
Um, Maybe for some people, whenever I was in the industry, I had so much work I didn't know what to do with it. If I really wanted to, I could be booked 3 times a day, every single day.
Really?
And I did work as much as I could whenever I was doing it. There's just a lot of films that haven't been released yet. So you guys will see there's a lot of films that keep releasing after May. All of these films are actually all shot for May. So there's still a lot more to come. I did maybe like 4 to 6 porns a week whenever I really started full time back in December.
Yeah.
So there will be a lot more to come. I think that it sounds really bad, but the girls who look stupid and blonde and have big tits can have work all day long. But if you're an artsy girl with tattoos and piercings, it is more about the camming than anything.
I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I guess it fits a different type of genre or the stereotype, right? If you're blonde, curvaceous, you're always going to have work theoretically in a way. But there's something uniquely different about you. Although you're blonde, there's obviously you're not, like you said, typical in terms of the way you look and how you present yourself. So you do have that appealing factor behind you. And plus your personality, too. It kind of comes out, especially not just in your films, but not in the many interviews you've done so far where you have a chance to kind of showcase your personality a little bit, which I think sometimes people don't see it. When you do go to those conventions, for example, we talked about a little bit when you were in New York. You went to AVN. You said it kind of breezed by and went by fast. Has this point right now where it hasn't even been a year yet, do you feel like it's kind of breezed by? Do you feel it's been longer than less than a year? Or do you feel like it's kind of, you've taken it day by day in terms of your career?
I feel like whenever I was doing it, I felt like the days lasted forever.
Yeah.
But whenever, now that I'm here and now that all the time has passed, I'm like, wow, did I actually do that for that long? Like, am I seriously? Like, it's just funny to think about, and like still seeing myself on the internet time to time. And like, then I just heard about how I just won like best sex scene in Europe or something like that. And it's just so funny to think about because, I mean, less than a year ago, I was working like in a spa and for a plastic surgeon and definitely did not ever expect to do anything like this. So,
well, congratulations. You won an award that you didn't even know about.
Yeah. That's how I always find out about things, actually. The companies never really reach out to me to tell me anything or send me any photos. So any photos, videos, awards, anything like that, I usually find out from my fans tagging me on Twitter.
And how cool is it the fact that you do have a chance to interact with your fans the way you do? I've always kind of like, how can I say this? I guess I'm an old soul where I've always agreed with technology to a degree, but now I feel, at least at this point, for me at least, I can only speak for myself, it's kind of overwhelming. It's like there's just so much to do, and especially for myself where I also do another show with my co-host Jeff Morton called the High Spot Podcast, where we talk about a lot of everything, but majority of it's the world of professional wrestling. So we talk about, companies like WWE and Ring of Honor, Impact, Lucha Underground, New Japan Pro Wrestling.
It's fun.
It's exciting, but when you're doing it solo by yourself, to go on Twitter, Instagram, to post this content, to do this interview, to cut it up, put it out there, and distribute your content, it gets very overwhelming. I mean, do you reach that point too, or you're able to balance the fact that you're going to put out quality, you're not worried so much about putting out quantity to your audience?
I am extremely overwhelmed right now, but I mean,
really?
Not as much as I was before. Social media is definitely a new thing to me. Yeah. I did have Facebook and Instagram whenever I was younger, but I was never serious about it, and I maybe only posted on it every few months, and I wasn't really into it. I grew up like without internet, and so it's like very weird to me to constantly have to be on my phone. I'm more the person that just would love to just go to the mountains and leave my phone at home.
Oh yeah,
maybe bring like a track phone to like call 911 if I fall off the mountain. But
no, exactly. Well, hopefully you don't fall off the mountain. Yeah, hopefully you don't fall off the mountain. But you're saying you're getting used to it, and it's funny you say that because I've been doing this for almost close to 2 years now. Well, this thing I'm doing now, which is called Adventures of the Trendsetter, it's kind of a separate thing I started close to almost last year. I did it back in November of 2017 over at Edison, New Jersey for Exotica. And even doing that and this, I still can't say that I'm getting used to it. So God bless you for doing that, because to me it's just so much, and to the point where there are only so many hours in the day that there are actually certain times when you actually should post your content. I didn't know about that. There are actually certain times
Yep.
in terms of traffic flow where you should be posting your stuff. And for example, I'll use you as an example. Sometimes my Twitter will be open because sometimes I want to see breaking news of something. I want to address it or put some content out while I have my computer open. So I'm always kind of constantly on Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that to be ready to post stuff. And all of a sudden I'll see you're counting like 7 things are posted in the span of 1 minute. It's like, how's that possible? So I guess you're following the same pattern, right? It's the flow of traffic that people are on Twitter that you're hitting at that moment, right?
Absolutely. And whenever you make your social media accounts a business account, you can actually see all your insights that tell you at what times of day do you get the most traffic to your page, who is coming to look at your page, whether it's male, female, what's the age, what country they're from,
Oh, wow.
what hashtags to be used, those sorts of things. So it is still sort of like I am on a schedule. And I think that's what's the most overwhelming and stressful to me, because I do have like a totally separate life outside of porn and modeling.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it gets a little too much for me. I'm actually house flipping as well. So
Yeah, I heard
sometimes
about that.
it just sucks when I'm working on a house and trying to take some brick walls out, and I might not get done as fast as I want to, but I have to stop in the middle of my project if it's not finished whenever I need it to be and go post on social media. And so that can be annoying sometimes. But again, I'm getting the hang of it.
Yeah, well, that's like, again, a huge example of how important, vital it is, obviously, for you building your brand, building your name, but at the same time, how much time it takes out of your life to do things that, other things that are worthwhile to you to do that you don't have the time to do at all. So it's kind of a weird juggling, balancing act that everybody has to do. So it seems like you're kind of getting the hang of it too, and it kind of looked like and you can only tell so much from a photo, right? But you can kind of tell that when you went there you're hanging out with Lana on her birthday, it seems like probably a much needed break or like a vacation to kind of get away from stuff, right?
It was and it wasn't, honestly. When we went, it was a really good opportunity for us to post a lot, because people, I think, are really attracted to our friendship, if that makes any sense. People really love to see us together. So posting, especially like live videos, or when people even know we're together, even if we just tag that we are hanging out, our sales do better. We get more traffic to our page. Just for some reason, people like seeing us together. So we spent actually a lot of time on social media when we were there. We did get out in the sun and have some fun, like out at the water park during the day, but we were up on our phones pretty much all night trying to promote, and also we had to take our phones like kind of with us through the water park as well and try not to get them too wet.
Yeah, that's an impossible task right there. Man, how are the water parks over there? It's been the longest time. The last water park I went to was in Ocean City, Maryland. How are the water parks over there in the
Really?
Bahamas? Yeah, that was the last time I went there. I actually visited the Strip maybe about 4 years ago. Took the family with me. Took my mom, my dad, and my brother went along with me. And we went there. And besides doing the beach, we were like, hey, let's go to the water park. I've never been to one. And it was a pretty cool experience. So what are they like over there in the Bahamas?
Oh my goodness. Well, it was just this one specifically wasn't the ones like all over the island were this great, but the one at the Atlantis was amazing. They had several tower slides and pool after pool after pool, and it was like right next to the beach. So whenever you were walking up on the towers, the slides, you could see the whole ocean, fantastic views. But the best part was I guess not lazy river, but it was like a fast river. It was actually like a 30-minute to an hour long like river ride, but it had like waves, like ocean waves going through parts of it. Other parts was like whitewater rafting. Other parts were in tunnels. If you wanted to, you could like take little paths to get to slides that shot you up, like slides up, with like mechanical, I guess, like conveyor belt type thing.
Really?
It was very interesting. Yeah, it was really fun. We rode the river so many times. Like The slides were pretty cool too. They did go through like a shark aquarium, but they were like only lasted for like a few seconds. So we were more interested in like the river, so we could just like sit on the tube and hang out and talk and
Yeah.
almost rip our arms off trying to hold on to each other. But
I can imagine. Hopefully, I'm going to the Bahamas too in October for like a wrestling cruise. So we're gonna stop at Nassau in the Bahamas. So I've never been to the Bahamas before, so I'm looking forward to it. So, hopefully have water parks over there too to kind of kill some time. Because I'll only be there for a couple of
oh
days.
yeah. Well, that's where the Atlantis is. So
Oh, nice. So I didn't even know that. So now you just kind of helped me out there. So hopefully when I'm there, I'll check that out and maybe hit the water park before the boat leaves back to Miami. So that'd be pretty cool.
oh, you definitely should. I think the day pass for people who aren't staying at the hotel is $75. It might be less during that time since it's kind of off season. But it's definitely worth it. It was really, really fun.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it the way you're describing it, and just like for example, just kind of a nice fun thing to do when you are on a time restriction. $75, whatever you blow that in a day, it's worth it though to have some fun. But Athena, something I wanted to ask you too. When I got a chance to meet you and talk to you, and obviously looking at the stuff you're doing on social media, I mean, you're also doing a football draft. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh yeah. So I actually started playing fantasy football recently. Forever, I really didn't know what it was. I didn't understand it at all. But I recently started playing it. I'm actually about to be filming the video for this week's picks.
Nice.
So anybody who wants to play with me, they can actually just email me. The links will be on my Twitter. And also I will have links to the YouTube video that I'm going to have my picks this week too.
Nice.
It's on... I can't remember the name of it right now, but I forgot the links to it. It's on like the fantasy football like usual like app that everybody plays on. But if you pay $20 extra, you get to play with me and compete for not only the cash prizes that the website awards, but also things like OnlyFans memberships, free custom videos sent to your email, and you also every person who wins first place goes into a drawing to win a date with me.
Nice.
And then we will also be throwing a Super Bowl party at the end of the year. Well, not the end of the year, but the end of the season,
Any idea where that might be, or is that still to be determined?
It will be for sure in Baltimore.
Okay.
But I'm not quite sure where in Baltimore yet.
Nice. That's not too far from me. It's only about a couple hours because I'm from New Jersey. So, and I saw you in that video rocking that Baltimore Ravens jersey or T-shirt there. So, not bad.
Absolutely.
Athena, something else I wanted to kind of address with you too is that there's something about I can't describe it, but I always kind of put comparisons between professional wrestling, which I cover, and it's my first passion, my first love. I grew up watching it. Kind of never really grew up and continued to watch it, but I always had comparisons to the adult film industry in the sense that when you look at professional wrestlers, they're constantly living out of a suitcase. They're driving from town to town. They're trying to get that money, hustle, get their name out there, get that notoriety. So you could definitely tell they have strong work ethic. And there's no question to me, looking at everything you do and stuff that you post, and just kind of what you said you're doing now on the side when you're not shooting, you're not filming for production companies. Where do you get that work ethic from? Because it's something that I admire a lot about you. I don't know if a lot of people have said that to you, but it's something very admirable about somebody who kind of goes out there and gets stuff on their own, doesn't wait for opportunities to come to them. Where do you think you got that work ethic from?
I would say I got it from not having the opportunities to have anything whenever I was younger. Living out in the country, being homeschooled, very controlling parents. I just wanted to, as soon as I got out of the house, just work as hard as I could and just kind of make life happen. I've always been a very impatient person, and I spent my years being homeschooled in the library thinking about everything that I was going to do when I got older. And most of it being a lot of community service and, like I'm gentrifying the city here in Baltimore, and how much money that I really needed to do what I wanted to, and as well as take care of my family. My youngest sister had a lot of health problems, and so did I. And then also my dad kicked my mom and my sisters out of the house as well. So my mom was disabled whenever I was 9. We got in a car accident. So I had a lot of responsibilities, but also a lot of dreams. And so I was not going to continue working for less than $20 an hour, busting my ass to do what I wanted to do and be able to take care of everything that I needed. I mean, it would take me years and years and years to even live just sufficiently and not just paycheck to paycheck. So
yeah.
I actually just ended up saving all my money from being a plastic surgeon, and I actually went out to Vegas. It was supposed to be a girls' trip for my friend and I, who was friends with me for 12 years, but she actually ended up robbing my entire apartment. But meanwhile, while I was in Vegas, I can't really say any names, but I met some really important people, and they kind of set me on the right path with modeling and with porn, and it's been a blast since.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite the way you're describing right now, quite an interesting journey. But at the same time, it seemed like through all those experiences, you matured a lot faster. 'Cause I'm sure a lot of people your age right now don't really understand. Well, I knew when I was in my 20s. At 25, I kind of already had an idea of what to do. But again, I was really raised old school too. I was raised in a very strict family, born Catholic, so it was more religion based and stuff like that. So I know that feeling. But I do know people around me who were the same age I was, didn't know squat of what they want to do with their future, or had any plans of saving money or starting to, working out what they wanted to do. But you seem to have matured faster and learned that. And the smartest thing, too, that something I didn't realize till very late, though, is that you want to work smarter, not necessarily harder, because anybody can work their butt off. But if you're getting paid minimum wage, working 4 jobs, you're not going to make ends meet.
Oh, absolutely. And even after, it's not like I didn't go to college or anything. I went to college. I got my business degree. I actually graduated at a very early age. I also went for a plastic surgeon's assistant, a dermatologist assistant. I also have my massage license and a esthetician's license. So I was definitely trying. And still, even at, 20 years old, even getting paid $20 an hour is actually quite a bit for a 20-year-old.
But it's still not enough, though.
Exactly. It's still not enough to, when you think about it, I mean, rent was $1,200. My mom and my sisters needed food. They also needed their medical bills taken care of. Just one hospital bill is not very cheap. I mean, it can be thousands of dollars, even with insurance. Cars like to break down. So if emergencies like that happen, you're screwed working that kind of job.
You're definitely right about that. I know that feeling too about cars breaking down on you, and then for me trying to figure out kind of what you figured out of how to do that. It's beneficial to you rather than having to work. You had all these tools in the tool chest, but again, none of them were paying off in terms of the amount of income that you wanted to get for all the stuff you had to pay for. So I know that feeling. Here are with Athena Palomino. Athena, there's no question in terms of your impact, how much popularity you've gotten. It's pretty easy to see your social media, and I've definitely checked out and subscribed to your YouTube channel when you've done interviews. Is interviewing and going to broadcasting maybe the next step for you, because you did a great job doing that?
Maybe so. I have been talking with friends of mine that they're like into TV, so maybe that eventually will go somewhere. I'm definitely not opposed to it. I've got a lot of different things that I could go with for TV and broadcasting. I could do, home flipping, I could do interviewing, and lots of different things. But I would only do it if it kept me here in Baltimore. I don't think I want to travel around as much anymore. I traveled quite a lot whenever I was doing porn. I was London one day, Miami the next day, New York the next day, Vegas the next. So I'm quite tired of the traveling. But if it keeps me here in Baltimore and I still have time for my personal life and going to church and friends, then so be it. But if it doesn't, then it's not for me.
No, I could definitely get that and understand that. Speaking of personal life, with you being out there in the mainstream of doing stuff on, your social media, do you get recognized a lot more, especially when you're in Baltimore or when you're in Los Angeles or you're in Vegas or whatever? Do you get recognized on the street?
Oh, yes, all the time. And sometimes people even come up to me and I don't even realize that they know who I am. And then all of a sudden they'll just state a fact about me. Or for example, I was having a conversation with a manager of a bar yesterday,
Yeah.
and I all of a sudden like got approached by another guy who was standing there, and I don't know why he just like imposed in our conversation, but he just said, "Oh my goodness, I just was like wanting to tell you I saw this like video of you yesterday,
Oh my
and
God.
I'm like laughing so hard because your like interviews are so funny." And I'm just like, I didn't even know you knew who I was, but and just like
Well,
also
not only
like
that, a
the
pretty bad timing
DJ.
to do it. Exactly. It's like,
Yeah, and it's funny, just like to people like again also yesterday, like a DJ that was at the Hustler Club in Baltimore.
mhm.
I like walked up to him to give him the songs I wanted to dance to, and he had me as his like background on his phone, and I didn't realize again that
Oh my
that
God.
he knew or like followed me or anything like that. So that was funny. And then also just like lots of different things. I had another experience. I think the most embarrassing one was I was staying in an Airbnb because whenever I first was coming here to Baltimore doing houses, I wasn't living here. I
Yeah.
actually just started living here as of like yesterday.
Okay.
So I was staying in an Airbnb, and I guess I had just met the owner of like Lee's Pint and Shawl, and he like got my Instagram and everything. And I guess like after I left, he must have called all of his friends and told them, "Oh my goodness, I met a porn star," blah blah blah. And so all of a sudden, like a bunch of people that I know, like sort of know, like started texting me, like, "Oh my goodness, like I love your videos, like I love your Instagram." And then the same day was like one of those people that he, I guess, had told was actually the guy who was renting my Airbnb to me, and he
Wow.
just like texted me all of a sudden, and he goes, "I love that picture you took of yourself in the kitchen." And I was like, "What?"
Wow.
And he was like, "Yeah, I saw that picture you took of yourself in my kitchen on Instagram." And I was like, "Oh my goodness." And then he was like, "Let me know if you want me to come over my plumber outfit." I was like, "Oh my
Holy
God."
crap. Well, again,
But
that's a perfect example too sometimes that I've seen either at conventions. And hey, I'm not gonna lie, when I first went to November and Edison like last year, I was nervous, but not nervous like, a fan would be nervous. I'm more that I didn't want to stumble over my words and make a complete fool of myself as I was interviewing people. I wanted to come off as very professional. So I had those nerves going into me, but then you'd see people very nervous and scared, and also you had some individuals too that just they couldn't separate the fantasy from the reality of the situation. Yes, selling sex is one thing. That's why you go to these conventions, but you're looking at these stars and they're still human beings, and so like I was asking more of just getting recognized. I'm sure you have a whole bunch of other stories to deal with, but does it kind of throw you off sometimes that people recognize you not just for what you do, but at the same time they just treat you in the type of celebrity status that maybe you're not comfortable with, or do you get used to it after a while?
I'm definitely not used to it at all. Again, it's really weird for me to think about, like, because I showed up to work and I didn't even know things like I had an award and the having followers thing. I don't even know, like, what counts as a lot of followers. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what counts as, like, being famous. Like, I'm not sure. But, yeah, it's just weird to think about. And I actually hope that whenever I stop that it'll just kind of fade out and people eventually will stop recognizing me and I could just live normally here. That's the goal.
Well, I hope, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I hope that works out for you. But unfortunately, I think the reality will be that I don't think that will happen. Maybe not as much, but I mean, it's hard
Yeah.
not to recognize you. You're like, you're 7'8". You're up there, man. People have to look. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. No, you're not that tall. But no, I can only imagine what that's like for you in terms of dealing with that because, again, you want what you do for work to be work, and then when you want to go home and live a private and normal life, that's it. You kind of remind me a little bit like me when I'm talking to you for a bit because I'm naturally an introvert. So when I'm not talking, for example, to you and doing conversations and interviews or going out there trying to get content for our YouTube channel or our website, I keep pretty much a lot to myself. I have a very small inner circle. Would you say that's the same for you? Or do you have a very spontaneous personality when you're not around?
Yeah, no, I'm very, very introverted. I grew up, like I said, homeschooled, and I spent 80% of my time in the library. Like, I'm pretty sure most of my life has been spent in the Johns Island Library in South Carolina.
It's funny you say that. I was kind of
So,
the same way too. If I wasn't going to school, because I wasn't homeschooled, I'd go right to the library. I'd catch up on homework, and then I'd just kind of read books. And I would be reading autobiographies. So I'd be reading other people's life stories.
really?
Yeah, because I'm so into my huge thing, and it's become maybe to a point obsession. I love watching. I don't know if you like this at all, but I like watching documentaries. I love documentaries, whether it be biographies of people's lives, things that happen in terms of history, or just documentaries on stuff that has been addressed, like maybe controversial and stuff that it's like stuff like that. It just
Oh,
intrigues
yeah,
the crap out of me. I
absolutely.
can spend hours watching that. I don't have Netflix, but if I did, I'd probably be binge watching that the entire time, like watching conspiracy theories and things like that. Just it really gets to me.
Oh,
I love it.
exactly. I don't have Netflix either, but whenever I do go places that have Netflix, that's pretty much all I watch. I just watch documentaries, and that's it. Documentaries, and then sometimes HGTV.
Oh yeah, no, I sometimes watch that too, and sometimes unfortunately I watch the Food Network channel, which kind of hurts me because I'm so hungry because it's like 2 in the morning, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I had a chicken parmesan right now, which probably shouldn't be good at 2 in the morning, but that's what
I
happens
know
when I
I
flip through the
can't do
channels.
that because I'm not that strong.
You're not
I
that.
really can't. I've done really bad. Well, no, actually, I've done really good in the last few months. I think it's because whenever I went to Mexico for so long back in July,
hmm
um, they didn't really have junk food easily accessible there, and they just had a lot of seafood and peppers and beans. And so I've really tried to continue that diet, and I actually went 2 straight months without cheating. It's just really been the past like 8 days that I've been really eating way too much sugar, but
Well, that's the problem with
I
Spanish
cannot make
food,
it
though.
available to myself. Like if I'm watching like Food Network, I'm gonna like want to order Postmates, and
Oh
if I
yeah.
have it in my house, it's going to be eaten. So, and it's not going to be eaten over time. It's going to be eaten that day, all
uh,
of it. Whether it's like an entire batch of cookies or a huge
yeah.
thing of ice cream, like it will be eaten that day.
I know, I believe you because I'm kind of the same way too, especially when I've been behaving really well. And for example, I'll catch a show with Guy Fieri, Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives, and then they're talking about pizza, and I'm like, oh my god. And I was going to Chicago. I went to Chicago 2 weeks ago, and they're talking about deep dish pizza. I'm like, oh my god. I'm trying to behave myself because I want to look good for on camera. Although obviously I'm wearing a t-shirt and I'm covering up, so I don't really need to look good on camera. But again, my mentality is I want to be the best physical shape I can because I'm hanging out with wrestlers and they're all muscled up and stuff like that. So I'm like, I need to look good. And then all of a sudden there's an episode of deep dish pizza, and I go to my brother. Crap, I have to have some deep dish pizza now. Jesus, and not just one. I need to have one or two.
Exactly. Oh
That's
my
crazy.
goodness! Don't even get me started on pizza.
Is that your favorite food?
Well, I love food,
I know you love food, but what's
but
your favorite food? If you had to pick one.
my favorite food is bacon wrapped scallops or shrimp and grits.
Ooh. You know what's going to happen after we
Yeah.
finish talking? You're going to go eat something like this. That's what's going to happen. So it's best we stop talking
Yeah,
about it. But do you feel any added
it's
pressure?
pretty much southern food. I'm sorry?
No, I'm sorry. Finish what you're saying. I couldn't hear you.
So it's pretty much southern food. Just like from where I grew up, I just like, well, everything that I grew up with, I guess, is like my favorite foods. Like, cheddar biscuits and shrimp and grits and fried catfish and things like that.
Nice. I've never had catfish before. I got to try that because I've never been into
No, you gotta have
seafood.
some fried catfish with tartar sauce.
Well, when I grew up, I was a very picky eater as well. So I'm only just in the last 10 years starting to kind of open myself up to all these new things. So I tried sushi. I can't with sushi. But yeah, I've had shrimp and fish and trout and salmon and stuff like that. So I got to try some catfish then. But hey, here's the deal. If you
Yeah,
if
well,
if you ever
you
make
can.
it if you make it back to New York for whatever reason, hit me up. We gotta have a pie between the two of us. I have one pie. I'll get you one pie yourself. Whatever toppings you want.
Absolutely.
Whatever toppings you want. It's on me. And go crazy by all means. I'll have my pie. You have yours. How about that?
Sounds fantastic. Actually, every time I go to New York, I always have pizza. It's terrible. That's always whenever I think I do the worst in my diet is when I go to New York, just because the hotels don't have kitchens and they usually don't even have fridges to keep stuff in. So And as soon as you walk out the hotel door, you're on your way to the grocery store, but you stop by like 10 pizza places and like food carts on the way. So,
Did you have
all of a
pizza the last
sudden,
time I saw you, which was it was at Sapphires? Did you have pizza then?
no, I actually did really good. Like during that time, I was still like going on my 2 months straight. I did
Oh,
really,
okay.
really good. I brought several protein bars that night to eat and lots of protein shakes. But
And a bunch of almonds too,
um,
right?
what?
And a bunch of almonds too, right? That's what I use to kind of subside my hunger. I'll have some almonds. I'll just like chew those things down
Yeah,
until
I
my.
do almonds or like cashews, pistachios.
Well, help me understand this. I'm in the city every day because I'm always working in the city. But I've never to this day passed through a pizzeria restaurant that was worth going into or that I had a slice that was good enough. Would you recommend one in terms like if you were back in the city, would you recommend one
Really?
for me to go? Yeah, I could have good pizza place. If you're here in Jersey, I could take you to a bunch of Jersey places that have great pizza, and I would recommend it 100%. And you and I would have a blast. But in New York, I can't find a good slice. Where do you go to?
I would say anywhere in Chelsea. I wouldn't buy any pizza from like Upper East Side or regular parts of Manhattan. But if you
Okay.
go down to Chelsea or if you go to Brooklyn, of course, Brooklyn I think has the best pizza.
That's what I stuffed. Yeah, I haven't had Brooklyn style pizza, so I'm not in Brooklyn that much. I mean, mostly in Manhattan, so that's probably why everything's commercialized there anyway, so it doesn't taste good. So
Yeah, and it's usually too greasy.
yeah, oh yeah, exactly. Too greasy. Sometimes grease could be good, depending on how it tastes. Especially if it's brick oven pizza
Oh
and it's kind
yeah,
of
I mean
dripping a
it
little
can
bit.
be done right, but if it's like McDonald's greasy, then it's like
Oh yeah.
no.
Oh my God, I haven't had McDonald's in like 12 years. I'm so proud of myself because
Really?
my body can't break that down anymore. When I went to Vegas in January. First time I was over there, so I didn't know anywhere to eat. I think everything was kind of closed or in the hotels. At that time, I didn't know you can actually go to the hotels and they didn't charge you for parking. That's how dumb I was. I thought, oh man, we have to pay for parking. There's nowhere to park. So anyway, we drive by. We're staying at the Stratosphere, which is I'm not even gonna get there in terms of what happened at the Stratosphere. I might give you a side note what happened there. You won't believe it. You might believe it. Who knows? But anyway, driving by and always says at McDonald's. I'm like, all right, let's go to McDonald's real quick. Get like McChicken. I got some fries, whatever, something to subside us because we got there late at night to get ready for the next day, which was the AVN Expo. So we have it. I'm in my room with my brother. We're eating it, and I didn't even get more than 3 bites in, and all of a sudden, this is what I heard. That's what I heard.
So was it like your stomach?
Oh no! Oh yeah, no, it wasn't the sandwich. It was my stomach going. Like it couldn't deal with
Okay,
it
I was about
anymore.
to say, because if it was a sandwich, I'm like, like that's not chicken, that's like frog.
Yeah, if the sandwich had made a noise, yeah, I would get out of Vegas as soon as possible, and you wouldn't have seen me at AVN. I would have been throwing up like there's no tomorrow, and rinsing like there's no tomorrow
Yeah, I
either.
don't know. I went down in Vegas. There's lots of different weird things there.
Yeah, the Outback place was really good though. We had some cheese fries there. Oh my God, they were so good. Cheese fries were amazing at
Yeah, it was
Outback.
all right. I lived in Vegas for a while there,
Yeah.
and the best restaurant that I went to, and I ate out a lot because whenever I was living there for the first like few months, I literally had just quit my job and was kind of like living off my friends because I was really sick at the time,
Mhm.
and we just like ate out every night because they never cooked. They were like all middle-aged guys, so.
Gotcha.
The
Yeah.
best place is strip steak in Mandalay Bay. The best steak you'll ever have.
Okay, I'll take your recommendation on it because I will be heading back to Vegas hopefully in January if they approve me for a media credential, and I will definitely have that, and I will give you my feedback on it. Whether it's now, do you take your steak medium well done? How do you take it?
I take it medium rare.
How do you do that? I can't do that. It's got to be well done
Well,
for
if
me.
it's a really good steak, it will taste better that way. But if it's a crappy steak, it's just going to taste like raw meat. It
Yeah.
definitely has to be done the right way. So, I suggest like kind of try not to spend too much money on your other meals so you can save up to eat there. It's fairly expensive, but it's definitely worth going to. And I would get the dry aged steak. And they also have like a Scotch menu if you like Scotch. They have a Scotch menu of over 100 different Scotches there as well. They're fantastic. And then also you must get the duck fat fries.
I must. It's a must. I must get the dog.
Must. It's a must. The
Okay.
duck fat fries are not a choice.
Okay, so you're not even giving me the option. It's an order
No,
basically.
the
What you're
duck
telling me.
butt fries, you have to get the duck butt fries.
Okay, I would adhere to your order. It's funny. This whole thing's turned into like a Food Network thing. We start talking on food, and we kind of are going overboard on this. It's hilarious. I hope you don't
I
go
know, this
start
is
getting a
terrible.
steak.
This is absolutely terrible.
I know. I'm sorry. And if you you eat a box full of cookies, I apologize for that. I really do. I didn't mean for that to happen to you. So you can blame me if you want to. But
Oh, I'm already going to be cheating today. My apartment's having free champagne and chocolate for the next 30 minutes.
with all the stuff we're talking about with food, right? Do you ever feel like a sense of pressure sometimes that you were talking about you were behaving really well for a long period of time? Was that more just for yourself, or was it more because you want to look pleasing on camera and stuff like that? Do you feel more pressure to stay in shape, whatever that means?
Um, Definitely more pressure to stay in shape with being on camera, of course, but of course being next to other girls who, again, are shorter, so they're, of course, smaller in weight as well. Um, and I mean, cameras also, there's the angles always make it look bigger too. Um, and sadly, not every photographer is fantastic with angles. Usually, a 1 in 100 photographers that shoot with actually really know how to shoot girls.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I really try and work out. Well, I try and work out and eat healthy to be healthy, but I definitely have a lot more pressure from being on camera. That's why I'm actually considering getting a Brazilian butt lift just so it makes it a little easier on myself.
Really?
But yeah, I don't really want to get implants or anything like that, but I am considering getting the Brazilian butt lift just so that whenever I do cheat sometimes, it doesn't just go straight to my hips because it doesn't go straight to my butt whenever I do gain weight.
Well, as somebody who can attest from the male perspective, I would highly suggest not to do that. But again, you know, you're gonna do what you're gonna do, and again, whatever makes you happy is what makes you happy. I just always find it funny when, people always kind of compare themselves. You're talking about models, and you're talking about photography and angles. I remember interviewing some people, and they're like, "Oh, let's stand this way because this is my good side." I'm like, "What good side? I don't have a good side. I don't even know what a good side is really." Because
Yeah,
a long
a
time.
lot of guys don't even think about that, and a lot of guys are very opposed to the plastic surgery. But the same people who are, not saying you, but usually the same people who are opposed to plastic surgery, you see the girls that they're most attracted to in porn, the girls that they pay the most to see, the girls that they're obsessed with, and they are girls that have work done. The guys just believe that they've been doing a lot of squats, and that's not the case.
Oh no, yeah.
Uh,
Believe me, I'm squatting like crazy too, and I know that I'm not going to get any plastic surgery in my butt. But hey, as long as you're doing it for yourself, that's all that matters. I mean, if you're doing it to appease another, a person or somebody else or group of people or an audience, then I would be like, it's probably the best thing to do. But ultimately, hey, the decision is always yours. So I'll never be opposed to somebody wanting to do something that benefits them for them. So no, you're right. I understand that, and I have so much respect too for the mere fact that when you're modeling like you did, and you've been doing that since you were 14, right? I mean, you had to learn angles and stuff like that, which isn't very natural because when I was 15 or 16, real quick story, I got stopped in the mall. At this point too, I am somebody who has very low self-esteem in myself at our teenage years that we all do, I guess to an extent. And somebody comes up to me like, "Oh, do you ever decide modeling? You're a good-looking guy." I was like, "Really?" And all of a sudden, they kind of juked me into taking this photo shoot, which was like $500. And
or
what'd you say?
I said, of course.
Yeah,
Like
of
I
course.
say, nobody who like a real modeling agency is
Hmm.
never going to ask you to just do like a test photo shoot ever, and they will never ask you to pay either.
Yeah, you live and learn, and then you go there, they do the makeup, the hair, and all of a sudden, like I'm standing there, and I have no idea what angles are, and so it's like they stand there, or do some different poses. I have no idea what they're talking about, so it's not as easy as it looks. And like I said, so much respect goes out to you guys for the modeling you do and just knowing your angles. Because even when it comes to sex on camera too, it's not natural. It's like you guys are opening up and facing the camera, so it's not like you're actually, it's sex, the actual act of sex, but it's not real. It's the extent that you're playing to the camera. It's like 5 minutes in this position, 5 in this one, open up here, go there. All right, come shot type of thing.
Oh, exactly. And I think that's what I struggle with the most. I knew my angles with modeling, but the modeling that I was doing before porn was quite the opposite of porn modeling. Everything that they wanted me to do in porn was everything that they, slapped my hand to not do whenever I was like modeling just for fashion. So things are starting to actually merge now. So even whenever I do have just plain fashion modeling, it's starting to look more like porn poses. But I guess the hardest part actually was how my body actually worked. And not every girl could say it, because a lot of girls' vaginas, getting like explicit here, but a lot of girls' vaginas go straight, but mine goes in a certain direction. So if you have like a penis that is shaped to the opposite way, or we're having to open up to the opposite way that my vagina is going, it's just going to be hitting the wall and not actually going in.
Yeah.
And the producers and cameramen don't really care.
No, of course.
I mean, they really don't. They're not going to take an extra, even if it's only an extra 20 minutes, they're not going to take an extra 20 minutes just to set up cameras again for you. You're just going to have your vagina torn open and take some APA later.
It's terrible. It's terrible. But Athena, thank you so much for your time. I know you got to head out pretty soon, but real quick, what I wanted to end on something like this is, like I said, talking to you when I met you first over at Sapphires in New York, and then talking to you now, I just feel like a sense when I speak to you, it's literally similar to myself in terms of your mentality and the way you think. So that's why I really wanted to talk to you, and I thank you so much for letting this happen, because I know you weren't feeling good for a while. And how do you feel right now physically? I know you're dealing with pneumonia, so I want to know, you said last time I spoke to you, you're like 90%. Are you back to 100, or are you still kind of feeling the effects of being sick?
I'm still feeling a little bit of the effects of being sick, with being a little more tired and the occasional cough. But actually, I got mold poisoning, which led to pneumonia.
That's crazy, yeah.
I was trying to save some money whenever I was staying in LA, and I was staying in a hostel. I'm not doing that again.
No,
the bathroom was really, really dirty, and it ended up giving me mold poisoning. So not doing that again.
No, nor would I ever hope you do that again. Sometimes it's good to save an extra buck, but when it comes to terms of your health, there's no price tag on that. So I'm glad you're feeling better. Really happy. When I heard about it, I was like, oh my God. I was like, that's terrible. So I'm really happy you're feeling better, and you're kind of close to 100%, as close as you want to be. But not only that, but in terms of your personality, it's so very humble and laid back, which you don't see very often, especially when people are recognized like you are, not just because you're working in the adult film industry, but because, there's so much people out there that kind of, scour social media. So something I wanted to actually do with you real quick is the fact that I did this actually with one guest, and it kind of spurred into something. Do you believe in astrology and like signs and stuff like that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Oh, you do. All right. So your birthday's in March, right? So you would be a Pisces, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so I was born in December, so my birthday's December 23rd. So I'm a Capricorn. So I was always curious to see what the compatibility is in personality traits between a Pisces and a Capricorn. Do we get along? Is there tension?
Well, the Pisces usually gets along with almost anybody. We're very go with the flow, but also very wishy-washy, and we tend to have, we tend to have a lot of like hobbies and interests in many different areas. Pisces are, like I said, very all over the place. So it can be difficult to get along with more signs that are grounded, and signs that are, very high-tempered, because the Pisces is quite the opposite. And
so
sometimes
you really know
be
your
a little
stuff.
overly sensitive.
Yeah, you really know your stuff. I didn't even get a chance to open it up, and all of a sudden you knew exactly to a T what Pisces was, because it's your personality.
Oh, most definitely. Pisces go really well with Capricorns, Virgos, Taurus. Sometimes, I'm trying to think. I think it's Aquarius. Sometimes Aquarius, sometimes Capricorn, and then mostly Virgo and Taurus. Signs that we tend to not get along with would be Cancer, sometimes because they're both very dramatic signs. Pisces can be sometimes like overly sensitive, and then the Cancer as well can be very dramatic and overly sensitive. So putting the two together It's constant fighting. Makes sense as my youngest sister is a Cancer.
Okay.
And then Scorpios can be very hot and cold. And it makes sense just because Pisces are very all over the place, and then Scorpios have very hot and cold tempers. So to get a hot and cold temper and someone who's all over the place with everything together is also difficult. That's why those was my parents. Pisces also usually don't get along with Aries. Aries and what's it called? Oh my goodness, I'm forgetting. Gemini, just because they have really high tempers, they have definite mean streaks that Pisces really can't handle, because we're very laid back and we like to be very bubbly and friendly, like pretty much all the time. So it's hard to get along with them. But yeah, Libras are actually pretty decent, but I found that my favorite people have been Capricorns and Virgos.
So you see, those are the people you get along with the most, basically, or Capricorns and Virgos.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yes.
Well, good for me, right?
Yeah.
Lucky me. Thank God I was born. I was supposed to be a January baby, so thank God I was born earlier than that. So it's nice to know that I share my birthday with Jesus. Or no, not Jesus. Close to it though. But it's not enjoyable in the winter time anymore when you have your birthday in December. So maybe March you have more of an opportunity to enjoy the outdoors. But one more thing I want to ask you. You talked about all these things you do and all these tool belts you did in terms of all these things you've learned and you've mastered to be a well-rounded person. But another thing too is you're born in the South, so you love cooking, don't you? Or you enjoy cooking to an extent, I would assume.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So if I had to ask you, what's the best Southern dish you could prepare that if I were to have a bite of it, like this is the best representation of your culinary skills, what would it be?
It would either be shrimp and grits or smoked ribs.
What's a grit, by the way? I have no idea what a grit is.
Oh my goodness, we're gonna have to get you some shrimp and grits. Grits are actually just ground corn, and it's made into a meal. But I make mine with thick Gouda cheese, almost like a mac and cheese, but it's with corn.
Nice.
So it pretty much just tastes like ground up mac and cheese, and then you put grilled shrimp in it, cook it in bacon grease, put a chopped up bacon and some brown gravy like you'd put on mashed potatoes, some peppers, and then some kielbasa sausage on the top, and some Old Bay and onions.
You had me at
That's
hello.
pretty much it.
You had me at hello, Athena. All right, quick, ask me, what's the culinary dish I would prepare for you?
What dish would you prepare for me?
Oh, well, now that you mentioned it, Athena, the dish I would prepare for you it would be basically I have Hispanic descent. So
Okay.
yeah, so my family's Peruvian. They're my mom and my dad were both born in Lima, Peru. So I grew up a lot around Spanish food, a lot of Peruvian cuisines. Now, if you ask a lot of people, I don't know if you've had a Peruvian food in your life, but most people would say that it's the most best of all the Latin dishes just because there's so many flavors and spices to it. And I would agree. I'm not just being biased because my family's like that. So the dish I would prepare for you would be, and if you're going to be at Exotica in November, I'll definitely bring one over for you. The dish I would prepare would be a full whole roasted chicken with French fries, crispy French fries, with lettuce, tomato, these different types of sauces that are spicy, very spicy, and to drink, it would be kind of the drink of Peru in a sense. It's called Inca Cola. It's a yellowish type drink. It smells like bubblegum, but it doesn't taste like it. Or I would give you a thing called chicha, where it's a purplish drink, which it's basically made from fruits and pineapple, but also the Peruvian corn that's there, which is the color purple. So actually, it's made from corn. It's quite tasty, I must say. So that's the dish I would prepare for you, and it's called pollo a la brasa. They say that in Peru, and it's probably one of the signature dishes. That and ceviche, which is a fish, and those are be the two best representations I would have in terms of giving you an introduction.
I've actually had ceviche. That's really good.
Yeah. Right. So then you're already there. You're if you go to Peru, You would fit right in because you eat
No,
ceviche.
I actually had it in Miami.
Then it's not real ceviche, to be honest with you. It has to be made from a Peruvian.
Well, you'll have to make me that because I can't take you up on the spicy sauces with the French fries because I don't really eat spicy foods.
Okay, you don't have to have the spiciness. That's just a sauce to dip it in if you want to. You could just have the fries.
I'll just take the fries.
Just
Can you
take the
give me some,
fries.
like ranch dressing to dip it in?
There you go. No, that's sacrilegious now. You're not gonna mix ranch dressing with Peruvian cuisine. What are you talking about here? It's crazy talk. What are you talking about, woman? But
I know some people put ranch on everything, ranch and butter on everything.
you're a ranch and butter girl.
Mhm.
So you're not into
I go
spicy
through
food.
pounds of butter a month.
That's crazy. That is crazy. But it's a joy to talk to you, Athena. Will you be attending Exotica in New Jersey at all?
Actually, I don't think I will. I think
Okay.
and I hate to put it out there, but I think I'm going to be pretty much retiring from pretty much everything. I'll keep my OnlyFans going for a little bit more, just so it'll be fair for the people who pay for lifetime memberships. But I will be pretty much retiring November 17th.
Okay.
So I've got a lot to do those first 2 weeks of November, so I do not think I will be going.
Okay, well, I'm glad I was able to get you on here. Hopefully it's not the last time we can kind of chat and also kind of help promote other things you're doing outside of this, which I'm really happy and excited for you about too. So hopefully it's not the last time we chat and talk about this. And like I said, if you're ever in the New York City area, let me know. We definitely have a pie. And if I'm ever back in Baltimore, which I should be, I don't know about this year, but I'd definitely be back in Baltimore. I'll definitely let you know, hit you up, and it'd be great. Because the only place I've been in Baltimore have been by where the pier is. Is that kind of where, that's where like all the good restaurants are, aren't they? All the seafood restaurants
Uh-huh.
by the pier. Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah,
where I
the
hang out.
Inner Harbor.
Yeah, the Inner Harbor, yeah, because I kind of stay away from the other outskirts of Baltimore just because I've been around that area, and it's not necessarily the nicest area to be around sometimes.
Oh, well, that's actually where I'm fixing things up. So
Yeah, and
it's
you're flipping
starting to
houses.
become really, really nice.
And it's so great, too, because you're
And I'm
doing...
also doing a lot of community service here as well. I did get some parks and a community garden set up, and hopefully I'll be working with Movable Feast to do some Thanksgiving and possibly a big Christmas dinner as well. So trying to
Awesome.
make things move.
That's great. Hey, if you ever need volunteers, I'm there. Just have to look at my schedule to see if I'm available. But I saw that you posted volunteers to help because you're guess what, cleaning up parks out there. Definitely a worthwhile cause, guys, and I would definitely jump in and do that too because it's about giving back. Basically, is a good feeling to have too. And well, Athena, like I said, I could spend hours talking to you, and I got things to do. So I greatly appreciate you giving me a few minutes of your time. I love talking about food with you. I'm sure we could have talked another 2 hours about that kind of stuff, and it would have breezed by. And now you're probably going to go and eat a lot of food and blame me for it when you feel all bloated and stuff like that. And like, Jesus, Brian, we have to talk about 20 minutes about food and shit like that. So, but anyway, other than that, yeah, other than that, I really appreciate your time, and I thank you so much for it. And look forward to talking to you down in the near future in the road. And looking forward to it. I sent an email. I definitely want in on this fantasy football thing. Is it too late to join the league, or is the league already done?
No, it's not too late to join the league. We're actually going to be doing weekly drawings instead of, the full season. So every single week we can do games. So,
Okay. I was looking forward to the season because I wanted to draft my team and kick your ass. Basically, is what I wanted to do.
that's not going to happen.
Because you talk a lot of trash there. I've been doing this. I work in the world of sports. I've been working in radio for about 8-9 years. I'm around sports. I know what I'm doing here. So I gotta say, Athena, you spoke a little bit out of turn there. And so when I saw that YouTube video, I was like, well, I gotta get into this league now to kind of teach Athena a lesson now. And when I win the date, you're and I are going to have Peruvian cuisine, and then your punishment's going to be you're going to have a french fry with a spicy sauce in it.
Well, when you lose, you can cook me that dish, and the only lesson you'll be teaching me is how to cook it.
Well, that's, sometimes it's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't teach him to drink. I'll try to teach how to cook it, but then you're going to have to teach me how to cook a southern cuisine, too, if I beat you, okay? Or no, not if, when I beat you.
I'll just make it for you because you'll never win against me, but I'll still make you some southern cuisine. I'll still teach you how to make it.
All right, I appreciate that, Athena. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Have a great day.
And a special thanks goes out to Athena Palomino. I cannot thank her enough for giving me the time, and what an amazing conversation. I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys found out a little bit about not just the adult film industry, but you found out a little bit about Athena and the kind of person she is. And she's the kind of person that, would probably give you the shirt off her back. She just cares that much about other people, and most likely, to make a fair assessment, would probably care less about herself than the well-being of others. And with that, it's very rare nowadays, guys, and I'm not even discussing the fact that it's in the adult film industry. It's very rare nowadays you find individuals and people like that too. So if you're a fan of Athena Palomino, if you're a fan of the show and support the show, definitely show support to her. You guys can go on her social media, go to her Twitter account at Athena Palomino. There she'll have a PayPal link to her bio. She'll also have links to her OnlyFans site. She'll also have links to her Manyvids.com sites as well. Guys, go in there, show your support if you can. It's like $10, $15, anything you can, just to help assist her during a situation she needs help immediately. And that's the least you can do. Definitely try to do it. Every little bit helps. There's never a little amount that won't be accepted or won't be appreciated by her. So for Athena, like I said, I thank you so much for this episode. I thank you so much for chatting with me, and I will do everything in my power to help out and get the word out to help this beautiful young woman who is super talented, has a lot going for her right now, but just finds herself in a difficult situation, which isn't her fault, and it's nobody's fault right now, and it's not a time to point fingers, but right now she needs help, and that's all you guys need to know. So definitely help support her, follow her there, and make sure you show her why the crew is the best fan base in the world, that we show support to every single person that's been on the show, whether it be the High Spot Podcast or whether it be Adventures with the Trendsetter. So I thank you guys so much. You guys can follow me on Twitter at BryBurga, BryBurga. Of course, you can follow the stuff we do on the High Spot Podcast with my tag team partner Jeff Martin at High Spot Podcast on Twitter. HighSpotPodcast.com is the website. All credit goes to Jeff and the amazing job he's done to make that website look amazing like it does right now. So follow all our shenanigans there as we post episodes every Friday. And I will consistently start posting episodes more often of Adventures with the Trendsetter. So you guys will love it. You guys will enjoy it. And you guys can follow it on YouTube as well. So give us a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just type in the word High Spot Podcast. Be one of the many members of the crew. We're getting close to 1,000 guys. And, numbers aren't necessarily a big deal for me because I really wasn't expecting anything. I was just expecting the people that supported the show or supported me and Jeff to want to listen to it and be there, and we did it for you guys. But for everybody else that comes on and joins and subscribes and shows their enthusiasm and leaves comments, and I apologize if I haven't responded to any of the comments, guys. I've read all of them. Some are good, some are bad, but I still appreciate the enthusiasm of you guys going out there and just giving me your feedback, whether it be positive or negative. I don't care. I just enjoy the fact that you listen, you watch it, and you give me an opinion, and you basically communicate with it. You communicate that with me, so I greatly appreciate it. So you guys have been listening to Adventures with the Trendsetter. I am your master of ceremonies, bidding you guys adieu. Thanking you so much for listening to this episode. We will see you again. So from my heart to yours, remember, I do this for one reason and one reason only. I do this for you, the crew.